Hey, welcome to another episode of the Innovation Mindset podcast, powered by the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. I am Mark McNeese, your host, and in studio today, I am very stoked and hyped. Somebody that I follow on TikTok and YouTube, who is an influencer, Ashton Herndon, extraordinaire. Hey, Ashton, thanks for coming in. I'm so excited to have you here. So you're graduating. Tell us a little bit about that. What college you in and just what's next for you?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
No, I'm stoked.
Yeah. I've been following you guys forever and I've always wanted to be on, and I'm honored to have the opportunity. But yeah, I'm a senior at Florida State. I am in the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. I actually finished up all of my major classes last year, but I still wanted to have my full senior year. So I'm taking a bunch of gen eds all online this year, and I graduate in about 2 weeks from now.
I know. Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
So excited. Okay. So when you were in my class, I had no idea you were an influencer and traveling all around to all these different colleges and things like that, and raiding sorority houses and all these fun things. And then my good buddy, John Breed, Professor John Breed, you remember John?
I do.
Started sending me your videos. And I'm like, what? What's going on here? And then I jump on and I'm like, dude, 35 million views on one video and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, he's like a real influencer and stuff like that. And started following you and watching your videos and everything. And I wanted to have you on because I just think it's so unique and fun. And so many people want to be influencers, but don't know how to start and definitely don't know the business side of it. So I wanted to talk to you about that. Before we jump into the business part of it though, can you tell us how it all started, how long you've been doing it? What was the inception of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when people usually ask me when I started, there's a couple different answers that I have.
Okay.
So I'll give you all of them. So I first started, I was 13 years old.
Oh, wow.
When there was an app called Musical.ly, which is now TikTok. And back then it was just a bunch of lip syncing, music, and you move the phone around. And I was like, yes, I'm going to be the next star on this. I posted every single day, 3 times a day. I didn't really get anywhere because I didn't really know what I was doing. I stopped all throughout high school. I may not seem like it online, but I'm a very introverted person. And I was very scared of bullying. I went to an all boys school. So if you do anything out of the norm, they're getting at you for it. So I stopped doing it. It was always still a passion of mine. Loved videography, loved all that, but I didn't have the confidence or the self-esteem to take that leap and face critics. But once I got to college, it's a new slate, and I wanted to just be myself unapologetically. I started off, this is when I really started, was my freshman year, my second semester. I bought my first camera, $800. It was everything I had in my bank account. And I'm like, I'm doing this. Because I got my first semester in college, I was so overwhelmed with unfamiliarity. My dad went to 3 weeks of community college, dropped out. My mom went to 8 different universities, didn't have that traditional experience. I'm an only child, so I didn't have any guidance as to what to do. COVID had just happened. So I almost transferred, dropped out, anything that you could think of. I was going to do it. But instead, I thought, you know what? I'm going to make videos and be the big brother that I never had.
Yeah.
So I started making a bunch of tutorial videos on this is what to do. Here's how to apply to college. Here's the things you want to do. Florida State specific. Here's why I chose it. Here are the best dorms. Right. Here's a campus tour. All that type of stuff. And I really just did it out of passion. I wasn't thinking of it from a business perspective, more of just, I like doing this. I like helping people. Naturally, this is what's going to happen. One thing led to another. I said, all right, it's working at Florida State. Let's do it at all the Florida colleges, did it at all the Florida colleges. And then I took a risk again, and I didn't have a lot in my bank account, but I bought $400 plane ticket to Harvard.
Okay.
All by myself. Asked a friend up there to do a ton of favors. So if he's watching this, shout out to you, Nick. You're the best. And that was my first, I would say, viral video. It got 100,000 views on YouTube in 2023, April of 2023. And at that point, I was still just doing it out of passion. Wasn't making any money, very little at that. And pretty much going negative on everything. Wasn't looking at it from a business perspective at all. And that summer, I had talked to one of my friends, and he's like, you should do TikTok a little more seriously. And I'm like, no, I'm not a TikToker. I'm a YouTuber. I will forever only be a YouTuber. Artist perspective, just a lot of pride in doing what I like to do, not what was trending or anything like that. But lo and behold, I started doing the whole TikTok thing, I started just reviewing colleges. My competitive advantage was I went to like 20 colleges at that point in time. So just honest reviews of all of them. Lo and behold, they started doing well. I picked up to like from 0 to 30,000 followers within a month, 2 months.
Oh, wow.
And then from there, school kicked back in. And I've always been a 4.0 student. Again, like neither of my parents had that real college experience. So I'll be able to like do what they weren't able to do. Full-time student, do my own thing, but also make 4.0. So I took a step back from TikTok and I was still stubborn on YouTube. And fast forward, like I got a couple more viral videos, nothing too crazy though, not getting recognized or anything like that until June of 2024 is when I'm like, you know what? Met a couple people in the industry and they're like, you know what, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, 100%. I want to be the next big thing. And they're like, do freaking TikTok, man. What are you doing? You have to do this to survive. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna do it. And lo and behold, anytime I had put in effort, it would do well. 100,000 million views. For the end of my junior year, I got one with 32 million views.
Yeah. I think it's up to 35 million now when I checked. So,
really?
Yeah, it's close to that. It's really close if it's not there.
Nice. Yeah, super grateful for that.
Yeah.
But even
that's insane.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk 35 billion people. That's 10% of the population of the United States watched that video.
Super crazy.
That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so many people.
Yeah, it's so grateful for it.
What was that? I forget. What was that video about?
So it was like, there's an influencer that was like really taking the internet by storm at that time, and his name was Sketch.
Okay.
And his like catchphrase was like, "What's up, brother?" And everybody knew it. So it was a trend to go up to people and see if they knew it. Literally just went up to students on Landis and near HCB and interviewed them. Some people knew it, some people didn't, but they had funny responses. And I posted it, woke up in the morning, it had 300,000 views. Oh, okay, like, wow. All right, that's cool. Turned my phone off, went to class, picked it up again, 600,000. Went on a flight to go see my girlfriend that weekend, and it was at like 6 million by the time I got off the flight within 24, 36 hours, something like that. It was crazy, and then it just snowballed into what it is today.
That's insane. And you got so many I think that's the biggest one, but you got like a lot of ones that have gone viral and things like that. And I've watched a bunch of your old ones too, just to kind of watch the progression of it. But I want to go back to something that you said, you being the big brother or something that people, I totally see that. From my perspective, I think that's a really good way to put it. I didn't think about it that way because I didn't know that you were only child and a first generation college student, stuff like that. But you do a really good job kind of like guiding people through things, but you do it with humor too. That's fun too. But I caught you the other night doing a live, which was really interesting to me, watching you do that live where people were asking you questions and advice and things like that. And now that I look back on that, it's totally the conversation a big brother would have with their younger sibling or something like that. Man, there was a lot of people in there like asking you questions too. If I could, can I ask you like could you go a little bit more into detail about the evolution and just switching from, I don't know if you switched from, but yeah, tell a little bit about the evolution and how you've refined your message and how you've fallen into or crafted your channels.
Yeah. So in general, just like the specifics of the niche I'm in or.
Yeah, I think so. So like at least when some of the older ones that I started seemed like you were more tour guide-ish and like giving tours of, oh, this is a student union, and I know we're going to talk about that later and stuff like that, to switching to more of a mentor, right? Yeah. A virtual mentor and somebody who's trusting you're like, and then like talking about different sorority houses and things like that. And then I don't know if you still do this, but there were some videos where you were doing the man on the street with, hey, win some headphones if you answer these questions. And I don't know if you do that anymore. Yeah. So if you could just tell about the bigger story of the evolution of what you were doing and how you've crystallized to what you're doing now. And if you could talk a little bit about maybe where you're taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started, you're very right. It was like tour guidey, the big brother, like just information crazy. And I think a lot of that stemmed from I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself to put my personality out there. So I made every single thing that I did objective. Like, all right, you're watching me, but this is a Florida State tour. You are here for that. You are not here for me. And that's what I did for the first year and a half of doing this, was just everything was about the content, nothing about me. I am here to provide a service for you guys. Call it a day. I don't want any of the judgment. I don't want eyes on me. That was it. But as I started to refine my experience and my skills with video editing and making videos and what makes a good video, I started to realize, like, people would comment like, oh my gosh, I love your energy. You're so funny. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm trying to be as monotone, robotic. Don't be here for me, be here for the videos. So I started thinking to myself, like, okay, if they think I'm funny and I'm not even being myself, what can happen when I'm doing what I want to do? So I figured, you know what? Let's try it. Let's put ourselves out there. Let's be ourselves. And it's still something that I struggle with today, is being able to be 100% authentic online. It's hard because you always got to worry about, oh my gosh, are they going to stay for the first 3 seconds? Do I have a good hook? Is my voice inflection going to be okay? And it's hard to be that authentic person.
Right.
But what I've learned over time is any time that I just pick up a phone and I talk, it always does better than when I sit there and plan it out and do all the things. And that's the authenticity factor of it, I think. So I think just over time, it was an evolution of gaining confidence with being my on-camera presence. Being able to connect with the community is huge. Familiarity is a big thing. Like, now that people can recognize my face and they know what to expect, it's, oh my gosh, it's like I'm talking to a friend.
Right.
And that's how I've refined it over time. And like, obviously I'm in my senior year now. College isn't going to last forever for me. And the last thing that I want to be is like this washed up guy who's 25 on a college campus still doing the college thing. So I've talked to a lot of people, and it's okay. Personality thing works now. And I feel as if a lot of it is for me and not as much the substance anymore. I've flipped the percentages, I would say. Not by much. I'd say it's 60% personality, 40% whatever I'm doing. But yeah, my whole plan is to just keep slipping that personality in a little bit more, but still providing value to them with whatever topic it may be. So people will start by coming for what I'm offering, but they stay around for me.
Right.
And that's what I'm transitioning into, is to like more lifestyle content, just trying to figure out life in general. Post-grad life isn't easy. Nobody knows how to navigate it. And to be able to show the vulnerability and the authenticity of that, of, look, this is hard. I've never cooked in my life, and now I got to do this. And stuff like that's my plan going forward.
That's interesting that you talked about, because I've been wondering, like, you're graduating and how does this evolve? Because you don't want to be like me, 55 years old and walking onto sorority campuses. You know, it's just not going to work.
You're killing it, though. You're killing it.
Oh, thank you. But it's not going to work. So that's interesting. You moving more into lifestyle and things like that. Real quick, just for a clarifying question. So are you doing the question gift thing anymore, or is that just past? That was a phase.
So I'd say like, it's not my main content anymore, but if I have a good idea, I'll go out and do it. But those type of interview styles, while they are like, there's a lot of positives to it. Like, it's very brandable. You can make a lot of money from it. Sponsors love that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about sponsors, but we'll get there.
Yeah. But like, at the end of the day, people would come up to me when I was like, that was a big phase of mine, was the interviews, to be like, hey, you're the sorority guy. And they don't know my name. They don't really know me. But even if I make a video today and it gets half the amount of views, a tenth of the amount of views, people will be like, Ashton, hey, what's up, man? They know me for me. And that's why I've shifted more towards the personality thing. Is at the end of the day, it's a personal brand, and anybody can pick up a mic and go talk to people. And I feel as if the ceiling for that is a lot lower than what you can do on a personal level. So while I still do have good ideas, and that's where a lot of my viral videos have come from, I don't want it to be the bulk of my content.
Right.
So I've shifted out of it, but absolutely I still do it, especially for brands. Brands they still classify me as a man on the street influencer. So I do that, especially for them and stuff like that.
Okay. Originally, did you go out and seek those relationships with these companies, or did they see you and say, Ashton, we want you to, whatever, highlight this product? How did that all come down?
Yeah, so I have been grateful enough for everything that I have done and worked with brands has been all inbound. So they've all reached out to me. So usually how it works in like the social media management space is like, there's inbound, there's outbound. It's pretty obvious. Like, outbound, you reach out to them. Inbound, they come to you. But a lot of the time it's hard doing outbound because you don't know who to contact if they're having a campaign right now, what their market space is. But when it's inbound, it's if they reach out to you, they've done their research. They know exactly what they want out of you for X amount of price. And it's just like, all right, this is our offer. Take it or leave it. Let's go.
Interesting.
And it's a lot easier for the creators as well.
Yeah.
If they have that and the expectations and the rules already set out like that. So yeah, I forgot what the question was. I'm sorry.
No, I was just wondering how you got these different sponsors. Like I think JBL was one, yes, and things like that. I didn't know if you were like on LinkedIn, like saying, hey, I'm a content creator. You should like send me a bunch of headphones. I don't do it. So I was just wondering how that worked, or at least how did it work for you? Because you see all the time people giving away iPhones or this or that. I would guess that and you even did some cash ones, right? Yeah. So is that your cash or is that?
Yeah, those are usually mine. If it's not a product, then it's usually mine out of pocket.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's wild. What's the most money that you've ever given away?
I've given away an iPhone 15 for about like $1,000. It was like $990, something like that. Yeah, it was at Harvard. I gave it away to a Harvard student.
What was that for?
It was just a YouTube video, and I've seen a lot of them in the past, like giving Harvard students iPhones or giving Harvard student X. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the risk, spend all the money, go out and do it. And I found this kid, and he had this like Chinese phone that didn't even have a SIM card in it, broke into pieces. I'm like, yes, this is my kid. I hope he gets all these questions. And he ended up doing it.
That's right, it was questions.
Yeah, it was trivial. Answer all 5 of these questions right, you get a new iPhone.
Okay.
And we went through 20 students, and he was the one, and he ended up getting it.
Nice.
And I spent like hours and hours editing that video, put a lot of thought into it, and it didn't do nearly as well as I thought it would. It got 20,000 views, which is still awesome. Yeah. Super grateful for that, but I was expecting like 1 million. I went very negative on that video as far as the financials go, but it's still a great experience and touched lives.
No, that's super cool. So I do want to get to the kind of the finances of how it all works, but you have a really unique, I guess, feel or vibe to your videos. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I think it's really interesting because you're a handsome guy.
Thank you.
But you don't do anything to make yourself look handsome. I like it's interesting because you do these kind of green screen, like part of your head's cut off and stuff like it. It's like raw and quick and everything. Like, how did you make that decision from not being like a glam boy to being kind of like, hey, I'm just out here having fun and I'm like the fun guy? I don't know if, am I reading that right?
No, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us like, how did you end up with that kind of style, I guess? And did you fall into it? Is that what worked? Or because you don't leverage like your looks at all, it doesn't seem like.
No, not at all. Comparatively, I'm definitely on the bottom end of the barrel when it comes to looks as far as influencers go. There's very attractive people out there and they capitalize on it very well. I personally don't think I'm one of those people. I think I'm more, if someone were to choose between my looks and my personality, it's going to be personality every single day of the week.
Oh, don't you're a good looking guy, but okay, you decided to go a different route.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
I decided if I'm going to find any success, it's probably going to be from my personality. Okay. I value that more personally. And I've just always been a guy where I'm not very self-conscious about my looks or anything. I mean, you've probably seen the way I show up to class, messy hair, nothing too flat.
You didn't have the big, long, flowing locks when you were in my class. You had shorter hair.
Yeah. Back then I did. The past year grew it out.
Yeah, it looks great. I love it.
Thank you. But yeah, it builds into the whole unapologetic thing. It's just, you know what? I'm going to pull out a phone today, talk about what I'm talking about. If you don't like the way I look, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to come off as like a slob or anything like that, but at least I'm bare minimum and I'm not like super proud of it. I could definitely be better on my appearance, which I think I've had.
It wasn't a criticism.
No.
Okay.
No. It's funny because I just had this conversation with another like social media buddy of mine. He's cut your hair, you're going to get so many more views. You are doing yourself a disservice by having this long hair, by not dressing well, this and that. And I didn't really think about it very recently, which it's funny you brought that up.
No, it's interesting. I would say don't change a thing. I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
It shows a lot of confidence in everything. So I think it's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the business. I was invited on a live the other day, and I made 37 cents for some reason for being on it. So I don't know what that categorizes me at, but I've made some money on. I was like, when they invited me on, they're like, hey, come on. And I'm like talking and everything. And then I got out of the blue, like this TikTok, 37 cents or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was and everything. So tell us a little bit about the different platforms and what's the revenue model? How do you make money? Yeah, just tell us all about it. And I guess we'll go through some of the big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me personally, everybody's a little bit different with how they make their money. So there's a lot of different ways to monetize on social media, and a lot of people don't realize how much money is in social media. I know people making $500,000 a year, over $1 million a year, and you would never think from what they're doing. But it's crazy, just the amount from different revenue streams.
Sorry to interrupt, but so could you just give us a 30,000-foot view of different ways to make money on social media before we get into kind of the different platforms? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
like,
absolutely.
Super interesting to me, and I'm sure people are listening or want to learn too.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a couple different ways. For like general broad ways, there's usually ad revenue, which is like getting paid directly from the platform, YouTube AdSense, TikTok creator program, Snapchat monetizes now. It's a little bit harder of a process. Instagram also monetizes, not nearly as much as other platforms, but they do. So there's that way, there's that avenue. There's the sponsorship brand deal avenue, is where a bulk of a lot of creators' revenue comes from. And that's just, hey, we're running a campaign on X. We want you to promote X amount of videos for this amount of money. Okay. And then you post to your own personal channels. There's also like UGC content, which is user generated content, where they come to you, be like, hey, you're a familiar face. How would you like to make a video for our page? So that's another avenue of the...
Have you done that?
I have.
Okay.
I have. It's not nearly as much money as it getting posted on your page for obvious reasons, because there's a lot less at risk, but it's still a great revenue source. And then there's also another major way that people make money is through like personal brands outside of TikTok, like funneling their social media audience into a, either whether it be like a service or a product that they sell.
Yeah, I see people on there like hawking shirts and hats and things like that. One thing I see all the time, I know all our feeds are different. I get the Gen X old man feed. One I see a lot of times that makes me laugh is these people on walking desk walkers, just sitting there. Do you ever see that? They're just sitting there talking on TikTok. Buy this walker, and I'm like, I'm not buying a walker. I'm not that old. Okay, so that's what you're talking about. That kind of stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so TikTok Shop. A lot of people promote their own products. That's another revenue stream that a lot of people make as well as. There's a big just creator marketplace of, hey, here's our company. You don't have a lot of followers, but if you somehow make a viral video, you make commission on it. And there's a couple people. I know a girl that makes $20,000 a month, and she doesn't have a big following. You wouldn't recognize her in public. She just strictly does these TikTok Shop promos, and she's gotten so good at marketing them that she just makes so much in commissions off of it.
It's like Next Generation. What was the TV show or the TV channel that they just sold stuff on all the time? Do you remember?
QVC.
QVC. Wow. Yeah. You're so young. And I'm like, yeah, it's almost like QVC, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. So as far as like on TikTok, let's go to TikTok. I made my 37 cents as a guest on a live feed and everything, and we'll talk about it later, but I had a video take off the other day. But I don't think, do you get it for your 35 million view thing? Do you get any money for that, or is it only for live? Or how does that all work? Like what content generates revenue?
So it depends on the platform, right? So TikTok, there's a couple of different ways. If you post a video and you have 10,000 followers or above, you're eligible for the Creator Partner Program.
And what is that?
Which is any video that you make over a minute long, you can get monetized off of.
So over a minute long, that's interesting because there's not a lot of videos on there, at least that I see, that are over a minute long. What's the rationale behind that? Why do you think?
So obviously, I'm not a professional at this, so I take this with a grain of salt, but I think that TikTok did that to incentivize longer videos to compete with YouTube as a platform.
Okay.
That's just the general answer I've heard over time. It's also a little bit harder to gauge how to monetize a 6-second video, valuing it versus a 3-minute video. So I think they do that just as well to just standardize it. So that's one way to do it on TikTok. That's how I usually do it. But there's also the live side of things, which is you go live and either people can make donations or depending on the amount of viewers that you have in there, you can make money off of that.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Sorry, you keep on bringing it up. This is stuff I don't know. I'm brand new to TikTok. I had some students. I have this YouTube channel where I do cooking stuff, and they're like, you got to go on TikTok, and you'll go viral. Everybody will love your cooking videos. And 4 people like watch my cooking videos and everything. And I'll get into it a little bit later. But it's evolved a little bit and everything. And now I just make fun of my students' emails. People love that. But
I'm a big fan, by the way.
Okay.
I do follow along. I like up everything that I see. So.
Thank you. But so on the lives that I've been with, there's all these kind of like different things. Somebody will give you a rose or stuff like that. What's the deal with that? Because I have no idea.
To be honest, I'm a little bit new to it too. I just started going live myself on TikTok. But as far as like gifts go, there's different values to different gifts. A rose is either free or very cheap to donate. Okay. But then there's like galaxies, which is like the highest valued one. And that's $15, something like that. Yeah.
Somebody's giving you $15?
Yeah. I've never gotten it yet, but that's how people do it. Yeah. They'll get galaxies or different tiers of stuff like that. Yeah. That's just for TikTok.
Why do you think somebody would do that?
I don't know, to be honest. That's something that I still try and wrap my head around. I think it's just a sense of community, I feel like. To stand out is, hey, I'm a big supporter. I've been here for a while. Because a lot of these big streamers, they don't have the time to read through their live chat because it's going so rapidly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's a way for viewers to be like, hey, I'm with you. This is proof that I am. Yeah, it still confuses me, though. I may be completely wrong on that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's so foreign to me, but it's interesting, too, if you're watching a live sometimes, like the creators are like, give me a rose or give me and all this kind of stuff. Maybe it's a generational thing. I'm like, that's cheesy, but...
It is, and I agree. And I try and stay away from that as much as possible when I do it, personally.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you said anything about that once. Yours had this super cool vibe where it seriously... does feel like big brother talking to a younger sibling. They're just asking questions and everything. It was cool. It was a very cool vibe and everything. It was very authentic, and knowing you, it didn't seem like you were like putting on a show or anything. It just seemed like you cared and stuff like that. If I ever did something like that, I would like to be the dad on TikTok and, hey, just ask me a question. I'll give you the best answer I can.
You would do phenomenal doing that. I think you should absolutely do that.
Oh my gosh. My kids would probably die. My kids are dying just that I'm on TikTok now. In fact, when I first went on Instagram, they wanted me to be on Instagram and everything. And gosh, how long has Instagram been around? 15, 20 years? Forever. So I signed up for the account, and my bio is still the same thing. I'm only on Instagram to embarrass my kids. And this is when they were like little. Now they're adults and everything, but I've kept it. But they roll their eyes because I'm a silly guy. So,
hey, be proud of that. That's awesome.
No, it's fun. I laugh at weird things. So it's fun. Sorry. I didn't mean to derail you.
No, we're here. I'm here to hype you up all day long. I love it.
Cool. Okay, we're talking about platforms and monetization. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you got it.
All right, cool. Clearly, I've never made any money. You started as a YouTuber. You're definitely active on TikTok and everything. When you think about like a revenue mix and everything, like, how do you go about as an influencer thinking about those revenue streams, and how do you curate them, and how do you protect them, and what's the relationship like with these different platforms?
Yeah, so it's definitely a little bit tricky because social media, nothing's ever guaranteed. So it's some months I'll make X amount of money. Sometimes I'll make a couple $100. Sometimes I'll make a lot more than a couple $100. And it really depends on the month. And
did I mention I made 37 cents?
I'm so poor. Yeah, man. Me and you are in the same month, and next month you might make $1 million.
Yeah, maybe.
It's so variable.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, I'm so proud of you for it too. I love it.
I'm dropping numbers, man.
We got to frame it and put the 37 cents in coins.
That's right. Put it on the. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're all good. I love it. Yeah, it's very variable depending on months. Some months it'll be great and I'll make 5x what I'm used to making. And sometimes I'll make 1/10 of what I'm used to making. Okay. So my relationship with that is I'd say it's something I struggle with the most is as an artist more than anything. I do social media, but like a creative person, putting a lot of value into the amount of views that it gets rather than the pride I take in the work that I do. It sucks having a low month. It really gets in my head. I'm very hard on myself. Shit, am I going to be able to make rent this month if I don't get the amount of views? And I have to sacrifice what I want to do versus what's going to work.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I didn't even really think about that pressure to try to crowd please and get views or whatever versus and fighting. You want to have this authentic brand and like that. Wow.
It's been hard, especially with a niche change. Like, all right, the college stuff works, but if I go full balls to the wall with being myself, I got to prepare to not have a lot of views. And when I don't have a lot of views, I have to default back to the thing I'm trying to get out of to be able to be financially set, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So it's a tough push and pull. It's something I'm trying to figure out. It's something that everybody struggles with. But that's why diversification is key in this industry, for sure.
Yeah. So your formatting on YouTube is obviously different than it is on TikTok. And is it different content or is it just formatted different?
So it's different content. So I classify it as I do short form content and I do long form content. Long form is obviously more like 10-minute videos that are horizontal, traditional YouTube video. And then there's short form, which is like a minute long or less, vertical, just on your For You page. But I cross post to everything. I think that's a big thing that many creators miss out on, is especially monetization wise, is you make a video on TikTok, you might as well post that thing on Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook. All of them have different audiences and all of them pay. So why? That's just money left on the table if you're not posting them to those things.
Exactly. Does Facebook pay or no?
They pay very well.
Really?
Comparatively to like views per dollar. It's called RPM, like rate per mil. Theirs is a lot higher than most other platforms.
And you're on Facebook too?
Funny enough, I'm not on Facebook yet.
Okay.
That's something I got to start in these probably this week, hopefully. Yeah, that's something I got to get on.
So the last time I was on Facebook was 2015.
Wow.
And I had to make a choice because that was during the Hillary Trump election.
Okay.
And I was like, I can either get off of this and like the people who are around me and have a community and friends, or stay on and just get really angry. So I dropped out of 2015 during the mid of the election, and I've never gone back. And I've been happy not to go back.
Good for you. Good for you. Ironically, I say all the time, if it wasn't my job, I probably wouldn't be on it either. I'm better off not on social media.
So and really new to TikTok, I love that platform.
Yeah.
I think it's so fun. Like I was trying to explain to my wife the other day, she's, why do you like TikTok over I like Instagram too. I like Instagram because I like funny puppy videos, which I get a lot of those on TikTok, obviously, too.
That's awesome.
And everything. But she's not on any social media. So one thing that I do is she likes funny puppy videos too. So I'll save them and have this funny puppy video thing. And we'll sit down at night when we get into bed and I'll pull out my phone and we'll watch funny puppy videos, and it's fun and everything. And it brings us closer together, which is cool when you think, I'm sure those content creators maybe don't think about it that way, but I'm sitting there with my wife and we're laughing together and enjoying it. And it's building community. Even like I've been married 32 years.
Yeah.
And it's something that has brought a lot of value to it. As dumb as it is, it's like something we both enjoy and it's fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's the beauty of social media, is being able to relate over puppy videos.
Puppy videos.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's definitely I love how different every platform is as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's what I was trying to explain to her, was like, she's like, why wouldn't you just be on Facebook or stuff? And I'm like, the algorithm's different. I'm not necessarily, at least, 10 years ago, I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see. It seemed like so political and people complaining and all that kind of stuff. And that's when I like Instagram. I really liked Instagram because I didn't see any political content. I'm sure it's on there, but it's just not what I was seeing. I was seeing just basically my friends and what they're doing and stuff like that. And then TikTok has blown my mind, like how interesting it is and how addicting. It is, like, and stuff like that. But I think TikTok is just, to me, just seems a lot more fun and free and goofy. And I like to be fun and free and goofy, so it's a good platform for me.
It is, yeah. I heard this the other day, is YouTube feels more like a TV show, while TikTok feels like you're on FaceTime with a friend.
Yeah, totally. And I like the live events. I jumped into this live event the other day with these wild people. Like one guy was like painted up like a scary clown.
Oh, wow.
Like it was wild, Ashton. And I was just going through it. I'm like, these people look fun. I'm going to like hook it. I like talk to them. That's where I made my 37 cents was on that one. Yeah. I was like people I would never, ever be in the proximity and meet in real life and having a conversation. And they are fun people.
Yeah.
They are fun people. So that's super cool. Yeah. I forgot about YouTube too. And are you on any other platforms? Oh, Snapchat, you said.
Yes, sir.
So you're doing that too. Stop calling me sir. I'll come across this table on you.
Okay, gotcha. Take it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, I got a personal question I got to ask you.
Gotcha.
Okay, you don't have to answer it.
No, I got you.
What's your girlfriend think about all this?
So it's been a journey for sure, because she's seen me evolve as a person as well. Like I was when she started dating me, I was very quiet, very like sweet kid, didn't have a lot. Maybe 5 friends. Like I said, I'm an introvert. Like outside of social media, I still have 3 or 4 friends, not many at all.
I think a lot of entertainers are introverts though.
Yeah, you would think. And I've noticed that as well, is a lot of people are very different off camera than they are on camera. Almost a little bit awkward, I would say. And I am one of those people. I fall into that category. Yeah. And I think she has seen me throughout the years deal with the self-esteem issues, the confidence issues, not being able to talk to people, and evolve into the person I've always wanted to be. And on that side of things, it's been awesome because I've been able to experience that. I've been fortunate enough to be dating her for 6 years now before I started doing all this. And she's seen all of the growth, and I've been able to like have a shared experience with somebody. Yeah. And it's been amazing. But on the other hand of that, it's been very hard, to be quite frank. And this is not for anybody to feel bad for me. It's for anybody that's also going through the same experience. Like, YouTube, social media in general, takes a lot, and it takes a lot of time, and especially in a niche such as mine, or people in the lifestyle niche in general, you got to be on and filming every single part of your life all the time, and that it's hard for one, a relationship, 2, for friendships, and just mental health in general is just, you are constantly working. Even when you're off the clock, you're still on the clock. You're constantly, okay, should I be videoing this? It becomes a battle of, oh my gosh, I'm walking into this podcast right now. Am I going to pull out a phone? Am I going to put that on you to be able to just be ready to be on camera for me? Have that awkward conversation, this and that. Do I debate it? Do I live in the moment? Stuff like that.
No, I get it. I would have been fine with it.
Thank you.
No problem.
And I figure so, but that's been a huge conflict of, not only in the relationship, but it's just in life in general, is the debate of, how do I not have guilt being in the moment? Yeah.
No, I totally get that. Because again, I'm not an influencer, but
You are.
I like being a content creator. Yeah. I've always liked making little videos and everything. I was doing that before social media was even a thing. I just creating. It's just, I like writing. I like making videos. So social media has allowed me to do that. But I also totally get one thing. I was like, when nobody was watching my food videos, which you all should watch my food videos.
I watch the food videos. You should. They're good.
They're all healthy. I'm 55. Like, you see these influencers out there, 22-year-old fitness influencers.
Yep.
Dude, when I was 22, like, I looked great, and I was like drinking a fifth of the vodka and eating Pop-Tarts. Like 55, and I'm still rocking it.
So, okay. I hope I look as good as you at 55.
Thank you. I was invited to, I play a lot of beach volleyball, and I was invited to try out for the Florida State Beach Volleyball Club team, which I didn't even know professors could do that. And
That's
I was
cool.
like, so I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, you know what? This is interesting. I'll video this. And it was so awkward walking out there, and I'm like, want to film, but a bunch of 20-somethings that I don't know, and they don't know me. And I'm like, I'm documenting my journey. So I did a little bit of that, and it really didn't really go anywhere and everything. And that's when one day I just got this ridiculous email. I get them all the time, you can imagine, and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going out of my mind. And it's good for my mental health to create.
Uh-huh.
That's how I process a lot of stuff. So
Absolutely.
otherwise I just bottle it up.
Yeah.
Doing the emails, it's been really good for me because instead of being frustrated when I get these emails, I'm like, oh, you're going to be a TikTok video.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
I'm waiting for the first email. It says, please don't make me a TikTok video. That's when I know I'll win. I've won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting you talking about navigating that in your content and stuff like that. So where have you landed on that? Like, how do you do that?
I think that it just comes down to, it's as shitty as it is this going to get views? Am I going to be happy if I film this? Or am I going to get more enjoyment of just living in the moment? And first thing always is, do I have a viral enough idea to make this video? Or am I just doing this to do it? If it's just doing it to do it, I drop it right there. If it's a viral video, I'm going to say, all right, are my friends comfortable? Are my friends going to be comfortable with me whipping out my phone if they're having to be in the background or be a part of it? Is that okay? Yes. Okay. Let's film it. If not, totally not.
Do you sometimes are like, you get pushed back from your girlfriend or your friends or just, dude, Ashton, put your phone away. Like this, just be here.
Yeah. It's a lot of, especially, I feel like I've gotten better at it recently because I've had the privilege of having friends that tell me the truth and they're like, dude, you gotta lay back. But at first I struggle with it a lot of almost like exploiting my friends and like having this expectation of, anything I want to film, they're also going to be okay filming. And obviously not a lot of people want to be on camera. So they started feeling uncomfortable with it. And I'm in the zone. So that went completely over my head. So I've learned to be very cautious with mixing my friends with my quote unquote business or my videos and anything that has to do with content, especially my girlfriend as well.
Yeah. And I want to do a follow-up question about your girlfriend. That's great that you've guys been dating 6 years and everything. I'd love to hear about, if you're comfortable, like how do you protect that relationship? Because I'm thinking, if I told my wife, hey, I'm going to UCLA and I'm going to go meet with sororities and rate these sorority houses, that would be a tough conversation to have.
Yeah.
So how do you, obviously, like, you got people contacting you and stuff. So like, how do you protect that relationship that's very important to you?
Yeah. So obviously I would say the biggest thing is, this is kind of hard. This is a hard one.
You don't have to answer it.
No, I got you. I got you. I'll be fully transparent. I love having conversations like this because it could help anybody who's out there.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely helpful for influencers and content creators because they all deal with it probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with in any relationship on or off camera is, what are the boundaries and what is acceptable? I think a big thing for me is always being able to respect boundaries of, hey, I know what you're comfortable with. I'm not going to test that at all. I've never dabbled in any relationship content, whether it be with me or like even with other people. I don't do that because I don't know if that's going to make her feel uncomfortable. It would make me feel uncomfortable, so I'm not going to do it with her. I think that's a big gauge on what I do is I think about it and I sit back and be like, would I be okay if she does this? Yes or no? Then go forward from there. But at the end of the day too, like it's a lot of trust. I'm like I don't know, I might sound like a dick if I say this, but if I believe in something, I'm going to do it regardless of what you think. So with the sorority videos, I go in there, I talk to the girls. I'm super respectful. If they ask for pictures, thumbs up on both sides. I'm not touching you or anything like that. I try and be as respectful as possible and only go within the bounds of where I need to be.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust me, you don't trust me. I
also think you do a really good job weaving in that you have a girlfriend in your content and things like that. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it seems like you talk about it a lot.
Yeah. I feel like it's part of me.
Yeah.
So it's naturally going to come up here and there. But obviously, like, I don't want to make it our whole thing or my whole thing.
No, it's definitely not. But I mean, it's just interesting as just, that's interesting how we wove that in and just what you're doing and things like that. And I'm sure she appreciates that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird because there are people that do social media and are at a way bigger scale than me, and they are in the same relationships, but nobody knows because they want to keep it private.
Yeah, like for me, my wife would be horrified if I ever talked about her or put pictures of her or something. It would be the complete opposite. Like she would not appreciate it at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely who the person you are with and stuff like that. But it seems like it's just, I know it's personal, and I wanted to bring it up because I do think it's important. I think especially people who want to get into this, who want to be social media entrepreneurs or whatever, it's definitely part of it. And I think it's two-side too, is a lot of people view you as a thing, not as a person.
Yeah.
And they have an ideal of maybe who you are or what they like, but it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say there's definitely a perception. I'm grateful enough to have people come up to me, and I'm super grateful for it. Every single person that's ever come up to me, like, it literally makes my heart so happy that I'm able to connect with so many people and have a platform to be able to do that. And it's crazy. I'm thankful enough that I try to be as authentic as possible on camera. And a lot of people are like, wow, you're just like you are on camera, off camera. But there's a lot of, like you said, there's that image that people have, and it's anything that I do, especially with what just happened here, like anything that I do, I'm under a magnifying glass. And it's hard because it's a lesson that I've had to learn. Like, no matter what I do, people are either going to like it or they're not going to like it.
Yeah. So if you're comfortable, let's talk a little bit about what you just alluded to, just so people know we're doing this. We're sitting down 4 days after there was a shooting at Florida State University, and it was really traumatic and hard. And we're here on campus today, and there's definitely a heaviness on campus and things like that. And I did see the video that you made about it. You weren't on campus, and you talked about the struggle of making the video or not making the video and things like that. Can you tell us a little bit about your perspective of why did you decide to make the video, and what was take us through, like, what were your thoughts when you heard, where were you, what was going on, and then what led you to make that video, and what's the feedback been from that video?
Yeah. So I'll give you full context because it's obviously a very sensitive situation. So I want to be able to give everybody full context on it. So the last 3 weeks of college, this was last week. So my last 3 weeks, I made it a mission. Like, I'm going to go so balls to the wall with all of my content. I want to do everything that I've always wanted to do content wise. And I've been doing a lot of skits for, like, the stereotypes of different universities and stuff like that. So I planned last week to leave on Wednesday and make my tour of all the Florida colleges and stuff like that. And on Thursday, I was scheduled to go down to the University of Miami and FIU. So I had left Wednesday morning from Tallahassee. I went to UCF and then down to South Florida that night. I woke up in the morning. I was supposed to go at 12:30. And obviously, this is my story too. There's a lot more people that had a lot more devastating things, and I don't want to take that away from them.
No, I get that. We'll all get that. I'm asking you. Tell us your experience.
So I was just about to go down, and my buddy was coming over. We were going to go down, film it together. And we have a group chat. All of my friends, we have a group chat. And my roommate texted, and he goes, "School shooter on campus. Do not come. I'm serious. This is not a joke." I'm like, oh, shit. And I text them, like, is everybody okay? Texting everybody I possibly can. All my close friends, probably like our close group of 6 of us. They're all texting back, yes. There wasn't a lot said. This was right after 12 o'clock, so right when everything was still new. And there's a platform called Yik Yak, which I can get into a lot later because there's a lot of shit that goes on there. And I usually don't go on it, but I know that's very up to date with students because it's all student ran. And they're all, did anybody else hear that? Why are there so many cops going by? This and that. And it's just the evolution of seeing everything go down. I'm getting calls from my friends like crying, "Are you okay? I just had to experience XYZ." And yeah, like I was on the phone with as many people as I possibly could, calling people, getting calls, concerned because I'm terrible at communicating. So my parents thought I was still at school. I had to tell them, like, I was good, everything. And I was down. I was still like, you know what? We don't know what's going on yet. We could still try and head down there. I don't know if we're still going to do this today. So we started heading down to Miami, and I got on the phone. This is probably at about 1 o'clock after everything was like, the shooter was detained or whatever the terminology
subdued,
is. Yeah, subdued. And I called my roommate. He was in Rovetta, which is the business building, if you guys don't know. And they had just pulled him out. They were holding him next to the Union. And he had called me, and he is one of the strongest people I know, not fazed by a lot. He's been through a lot in his life, so he's very desensitized to a lot of things. And you could feel him like voice shaking, still a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. I'm looking at the casings of bullets right now and blood on the grass, and you hear his voice shaking. And I'm on I-95, and I pull off to the side of the road. I'm with my friends in my car. I hang up, dead silence. We pull off, and I just start crying, man. Like, my first thought in my head was like, I should be there. I should have been there. And that should have been me there. Because this has been my home. I feel like I've become a leader in this community, and a lot of people look to me for guidance in this community. And I felt terrible for not being there in that time. And total rest of the day, I was with two of my buddies. We were going to go down to Miami. I'm like, this is not the day to do this. We're going to be here for all of our friends. And that's when I just went through my entire contact list on my phone, and anybody that went to Florida State, I just started texting them, are you okay? I'm calling anybody that I could. And I just sat in a park for hours, pulled off 20 minutes down from where I started. I was in Boca Raton at FAU, and I ended up in Fort Lauderdale at a park and just sat there like waiting on updates and refreshing and DMing as anybody who was reaching out to me and trying to help in any way that I could. And I felt awful that I wasn't there. So I was doing anything I could to help. And after that, I took a day. That day so these next 3 weeks, I was like, I got to post 4 times a day on TikTok, 4 times a day. That's what I'm doing. I have to squeeze it all in and make the most out of the last of my college experience. That day, nothing. Didn't want to post anything because this is where the conflict thing comes in with the perspective, right? Is I make a lot of content that is purposely controversial. I would say, like, I went to UF a couple weeks ago and I said it was the better school. Obviously, I don't believe that, but I know on the internet, eliciting a reaction always works. Yeah. And I knew that would work. And I could never foresee this happening, so I didn't know. But obviously, I'm like I was villainized because of it. So I wanted to be very delicate with the situation. And immediately, I check like the Yik Yak, which is something, I'm 22. This is like a freshman platform. This is not something I check very much. And I see a screenshot of me, and they're like, if this guy says anything about this, I'm going to be so mad.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, and it had 1,000 upvotes on it. I'm like, fuck. Like this, I felt terrible. Like I was like a villain, and people weren't seeing me as like a part of the team at Florida State at that point. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I definitely don't want to post. And I knew I was like, I couldn't say anything. And that made me feel even 10 times worse that I wasn't here. So the next day I was like, that whole night, I didn't sleep at all. I just was thinking like, I need to do something. I need to make something. Like people are waiting on something, because as many haters as there are, there's also people that have looked up to me for so long. And the next morning I went to my car, no scripts, just started recording, and I made what I made, and I made sure I went through, I'm grateful enough to have a management team and everything like that, cleared it through 3 levels of them. And I was just like, look, this is, people lost their lives yesterday. Don't want to come off as insensitive or anything like that, especially since I wasn't there to experience it myself. I want to make sure this is okay. And I posted that video, and it was received very well for the most part.
It was very well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to make it about me at all. I wanted to make it about everybody that was there, and just really make it sure that they knew that if nobody was there for them, I would be there for them. Obviously, standing on that big brother thing that I always have prided myself on having. And obviously, it was met at first with, like, the internet has haters all the time. So it was met with, nobody asked for your take on this, or why is this guy speaking on this? Yeah. But then that was met with a lot of, he's one of us, like he's going through it too. And then after those first initial like 3-4 hate comments, it was just all so much love. And I was on the road from Miami to Florida Gulf Coast that day. So I had another 3-hour drive, and I didn't look at my phone at all during that time. I sat in silence that entire ride. I'm not the type of guy to do that. I have to be stimulated all the time. I just sat, and I thought the entire time, just like what I could do, what had happened. I can only putting myself in the shoes of my friends to be able to like understand how I can help them and what they're going through. And once I hit Florida Gulf Coast, I checked, and it was just flooded with so many positive messages of support from here, support from there. A lot of DMs came through. I was fortunate enough, hey, I saw your video and I saw you're open to DMs. Here's my story, and opening up to me. And I'm honored to be able to help and service people that I've never met before. And that's the power of my platform, and why that it really reminds me of why I do this in the first place. And it's outside of money, outside of views, outside of any clout or any of that. It's being able to be a leader in your community. And in my personal opinion, I'm far from a leader, but it's good to be able to be someone to lean on when nobody else is.
No, 100%. I think it was the right video at the right time to do. And it definitely came across too, like you're just opening, like I was up all night thinking, should I post this? And I think it was the right thing to do. And I think it's really like when you're part of a community and something like this happens and you're not there, that's a whole nother burden that's not easy.
Yeah.
Like I was on Landis teaching a class when the shots rang out, and we like dropped everything. My phone was left on Landis, and I was trying to get as many students as I could away from the shooter. And my daughter's a first responder, and she was coming on campus. My wife is a nurse, and she was working at the hospital. And so my wife has her daughter and her husband on campus, and I don't have a phone. And it was really hard on her, knowing I have loved ones who are there, and that's really challenging too. And when you don't know, is my loved one's okay, and things like that. Yeah, that's wild. And I was like hunkered down in the studio that we're sitting in right now with 16 students and things like that. And one of my students was texting with my daughter, and I don't know, like they're at that time, I don't know if you remember, they're like, there's 2 shooters, there's 3 shooters. Nobody knew what was going on. And I knew my daughter was out there, and she's with a girl that was shot. She was first with her and working with her. And I had 4 sobbing girls in here, and a couple who've gone just catatonic, and just trying to like manage that. And it's really challenging, really hard thing to go through, I think, for everyone who's connected to the FSU community. And I know you saw it, but that night I posted a video, and it blew me away, like how many people not only watched it, but how many like parents and students like sent me messages in the message board and direct messaged me and things like that. Like parents like just thanking me for being the father figure in their daughter's or son's life at that time. And we were talking earlier, it's this weird thing that we all have different feelings about different people. And like my whole TikTok page is about making fun of stupid student emails. And I'm like, I felt so crappy about the content I had made. Because I'm like, these kids are like locked down. I don't know where they are. And I'm making fun because they have the most unprofessional, stupid emails ever, which is, and it's all in good fun. I never name them or anything. I'm just trying to make people laugh and everything. But so going from like a goofy content page to me just like totally broken and just I don't even know how to process this. And then just being shocked at how many people like it resonated with, and that helped, and that parents were appreciative and students were appreciative. Fortunately, I didn't get any haters, which I guess is unusual I got a lot of, I guess, some bots doing political stuff, like weird stuff like Trump. I was like, what?
It happens.
But it was wild time and experience. So as somebody, I wanted to ask you this, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I have an op-ed coming out on Wednesday where I've just processed through what are like some nonpartisan, simple things that we could do to at least minimize some of the chaos that we experienced. And as somebody who's been on lots of campuses and experienced lots of campuses, and unfortunately, this is always something that we live in a reality. This is on our minds and everything.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts on how we can harden this as a target that we're not like, and I'll just, from my perspective, I've never felt so vulnerable and powerless in my life. And I think probably that would be the sentiment. Everybody who went through that, just, I don't ever want to feel that way again. I don't want anybody to ever feel that way again. And life's messy. You can't protect everybody, but we can do some common sense stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So do you have any thoughts on that? What have you seen that works? Like, you've gone on a lot of campuses, so I think you're the perfect person to ask. What's your thoughts on, like, how can we do this better?
Absolutely. First off, I want to say, I really appreciate you going on and telling your story online. Like, that really, I saw it myself and I teared up. Like, it's because I've known you forever, and seeing somebody I know and love being affected by it is just shit, man. But also, when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, this is not anything out of the normal for Mr. McNeese. You've always put your students first, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, but usually people aren't shooting at us.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And even in times of distress and tragedy like that, you still put the students first, which is phenomenal. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I gotta give you credit for that. That's phenomenal.
I appreciate it.
But as far as regulations and like steps go for things like this, I've been to campuses where unfortunately the same tragedy has happened. I live currently down in South Florida, 15 minutes away from Stoneman Douglas, where this happened.
Wow. Okay.
I haven't been living there long, but I do live down there now. But yeah, and it's tragic to be in these places where people have been affected by stuff that should be avoidable, if that makes sense. And I think there's a couple like simple fixes after, especially it happening in your own community and seeing everybody's different stories and how they had to come about it. The two biggest things that come to my mind is, obviously there's a lot that goes into something like this, from in the mental of the shooter, the aggressor, and whether it be childhood trauma or something along the lines of anything at all. Common sense, human decency, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter if that was the attribution to what pushed them over the edge or not. Be nice to everybody. That there's no reason to have hate for anybody or to be mean to anybody in this world for any reason. Forgiveness is a big thing. Patience is a big thing. And I feel like if there's a lot more patience and a lot more kindness in this world, there's not going to be as much resentment, which I think is it's a big catalyst in violent acts, whether it be the one that happened here or in general. So that's one of the biggest things that I think of directly, is just being a good person to everybody, no matter what the circumstance is. I'm a religious guy myself, and I'm not one of those people that shove it down their throat. But a big thing that I live by, and I always have lived by, especially with getting a lot of backlash personally, is turn the other cheek. Yeah. Always. Even when they're mean to you, you're not going to gain anything from being negative right back. Nobody wins in that situation. Just being a good person, being a good human being to everybody. Can't emphasize that enough. But personally on our campus, I think from a tangible perspective on something that's actionable today, from administration, obviously being nice, anybody can do that at any time. Mm-hmm. From an administration standpoint, locks on doors is a huge thing. Huge thing. Now, obviously, like I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but there are the auto lock systems on all of the classroom doors, like electronic, like the swipe card lock.
Yeah, if there is, it didn't work. Professor Gardner, his classroom wouldn't lock, and he spent the whole time holding the door for his students.
Which is tragic.
Yeah, that's one thing I think is a freaking no-brainer. I taught one summer at Stanford, and to be on Stanford's campus, you have to have a lanyard, an ID, and then you can't get into any building or classroom or room without the dongle. That you only can go where you belong.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That needs to be implemented.
There's a couple schools that I've been to as well, Stanford being one of them. It's more so a private school thing because they have the ability to do that. They have a little more autonomy in what they do on their campus as far as like privacy goes. So a lot of the private schools I've been to, they do have that where you're only allowed into the buildings that you are allowed into. Right. And even just like common stuff, like if you have a deadbolt on these doors, that's better than having to barricade them and take a gamble on whether or not it's like I had friends that were like making makeshift locks out of backpacks on their doors. And one of my friends had all the guys just stood in front of the doors. And as soon as the cops came in, they were met with guns in their faces. And nobody should ever have to experience something like that.
Yeah. And the locks, it's not only for an active shooter kind of situation. There's been so many situations at FSU where teachers will walk into a dark room and somebody's waiting there for them and things like that. And it's just not necessary.
Yeah, no. No, not at all.
Yeah. Or not only teachers. I'm sure it's happened to students too, but I've heard the stories, obviously, from teachers. They walk in, they're like in the dark and somebody's not meant to be there. And it's a very bad situation.
Yeah. No,
that's very avoidable.
It's very avoidable.
Yeah, you can't protect everybody from, but we can protect each other from stupid, like stupid little stuff like locking doors.
Exactly. And you would think that's something you don't even think about because you think it's so common sense. Hey, if this were to happen, there's locks on the doors, and then it happens, and you look at the door. Oh shit, there's nothing there. What do I do?
Yeah,
nobody should be, like you said, vulnerable in that situation and have no security at all of whether or not they're safe once anybody can open a door. Yeah, I think that's the most obvious thing is putting locks on doors. As unfortunate as it is, and this has nothing to do with politics at all, like unfortunate as it is to be in a world where you do have to worry about this and it happens frequently, having security on campus or police presence, I think it's necessary. Not to say that it's going to prevent things from happening, but we were fortunate enough for police presence. We have a good police presence on campus, and it enabled us to diffuse the situation a lot quicker than it could have unfolded to be a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's very tragic, but it could have been 100 times worse.
100% could have been way worse on so many different levels and everything. It was interesting walking onto campus today, and the police presence, I'm sure you saw it, is pretty heavy.
It is.
And every police officer I walked by, thank you for being here. It really matters. And they're like, glad to be here. We wouldn't want to be anywhere else and everything. And yeah, definitely having that police presence definitely does help.
I think it does. And it's unfortunate that people have to be surprised when I tell them that there's not metal detectors in our student union when you walk in.
Yeah.
Like, nobody should ever have to assume that you need to walk through and have to go through all of that just to enjoy your regular day. And it's so unfortunate, but I do think that at the end of the day, it is the world that we live in.
It is.
Whether you're Democrat, Republican, that it's what we live in. So it's something that has to be done, whether it be security, presence on campus, hire police on duty at times, or even just as simple as parking a cop car in a well-populated area like the student union or the library. It helps deter for sure.
What do you think? So I never really thought about this before until Thursday, but while we were playing our Giant Jenga, did we play Giant Jenga?
Yes.
In your class? Okay,
yes.
So we were playing that game out on Landis, the
nice.
Giant Jenga game, and everybody's pitching and we're laughing and having a good time. And some guy, random guy, older guy, walks up to the class and he starts taking pictures of us and things like that. And I was like, finally, hey. And then probably 5 minutes later, we heard the shots. My first thought was it was that guy.
Wow. Yeah, no, rightfully so.
And really got me thinking, like, random people can't walk on a high school or an elementary campus.
Yeah.
Like, why can just random people walk on to our campus? And I don't know. I don't have a definite answer for this, but I was wondering, do you have any thoughts on that?
So obviously it's something that I've questioned a lot because I used to be a big advocate for public university open to everybody because I travel to all these colleges.
Right, exactly. You do.
And obviously I don't go there, but it's very easy. Like, you don't realize, and I don't even know if I should say this on here. You know what? I am going to say this. I have gone into so many places that I should not have been. And it has been so easy to do. And it shouldn't be that way. Like, you would think the things I have done, you would assume there's high security and I had to pull strings to get in. I just walked in and I was able to do these things. And if I can, somebody with a bomb strapped to their chest can, someone with a shotgun can.
Yeah.
Like, it worries me. It truly does. And this has been something that I've talked about a lot in the past with people that I've known and have done these things with. Oh my gosh, if I could do this, this is a security threat.
Yeah.
Like I'm an innocent student just making a dumb video, but somebody could literally walk into this heavily populated place, map out a very articulate plan they shouldn't have access to. And it's something where I used to be a big advocate for it because it's less barrier to entry of accessing students for interviews and wholesome things. But it's also a thing of, oh my gosh, if I can do this, there's good people in this world, but there's also bad people in this world.
Yeah. It was just the timing of that guy coming up and taking pictures and being weird.
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, shots ringing out. And it was so loud. I know it was far away from us, but I think it just where the student union is, I think it kind of like the sound channeled through Bellamy and HCB and sounded really loud on, and we just didn't know. And I was like, and then all the students running toward us yelling active shooter and stuff like that. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And I was just like putting that, I wanted to know your thoughts on that because I can see both sides of it, right? And I don't know if you have to be draconian about it. Maybe you fill out like a simple thing like, hey, here's my ID. I'm going to be visiting campus today. And maybe you get a stamp or something. I don't think it needs to be crazy, but it seems like it could be a little bit more than just random people walking on campus.
A little bit more regulated, I would say. And I will say it's crazy because we are one of the more secure campuses when it comes to that stuff because we don't have any roads that you can drive directly through campus.
Oh, interesting.
We only have the one road through, like the windy road through Traditions, and that doesn't even cut you across. There's no one road that cuts you directly from one side of campus to the other, from north to south or from east to west.
The other thing we got is no open parking spots. So nobody can park, including the faculty and students.
Yeah, which is great for situations like these.
Yeah.
But yeah, even then we have there's no access to Landis Green or the library without going through one of the gates. Yeah. So it's unfortunate that even at one of the more secure campuses that I've been to, stuff like this is able to happen, let alone a campus where they're on a grid and just through traffic all the time, and somebody could just drive a car and light up whoever they want and keep going. It's unfortunate. And there's definitely, I think this is going to bring up, I don't know how many times it's going to take for this to like actually make a change in this world, but I hope this pushes something for administrators around the world to be like, hey, something needs to change for our students to feel safe on their own campus where they live.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Obviously, this one hit really close to home, right?
Yeah.
But you got it, especially Florida State. We had one 11 years ago.
Yep.
We can't have another one here.
No.
And that Parkland students who went through that shooting are now FSU college students. I can't even imagine going like those parents and those students. We can do better.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's one of the first things that my mind went to is I can only imagine because those kids were, I'm the same age as the freshmen that were affected at Stoneman Douglas. So I've been in classes with those kids and we're literally 2 weeks away from never having to experience that ever again. And it's the last of people that would have to strike it bad luck twice, and it happens to them. And I know a girl who was in the union who went to Stoneman Douglas, and that should never happen to somebody once, let alone twice. It's ridiculous. And even with the Florida State shooting in the library 10 years ago, there was change. They did put up metal detectors, which I've been to 45 schools now. We're probably one of 3 that have metal detectors. Even Harvard doesn't have metal detectors in theirs. They have one library, and it's the one iconic one that they have metal detectors. That's it. We're one of the very few, and we're a public school. So that's change in itself, which has helped, and it's nice to know that when you're studying, you don't have to worry about that necessarily, but it comes to a point where it's, do we need this for every building? These shouldn't be conversations that we're having, and I don't have answers as to how to solve it, but it's unfortunate.
No, it is. So let's end on a happy note. I really appreciate you being open to talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, it's all on our hearts and minds. So I always like to ask one question at the end of each episode, and that question is, so when did you get serious about being an influencer?
So
that's not the question, but that is a question. What, like how many years ago?
I would say I did it consistently about 3 years ago. Took it really seriously about 10 months ago.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is the question.
Okay.
If you could go back and tell Ashton from 3 years ago, before you started this journey, one thing, you only get to tell yourself one thing on how to be successful in this or make it easier or whatever, what would that one thing be?
Ooh, one thing is hard. That's a really good question.
That's all you get.
I would say don't let your ego get in the way of your success. Is my biggest thing.
Unpack that for me real quick.
I would say, like I said, I've always been a stubborn guy, and I was so set on doing YouTube. And if I would have started TikTok when I started YouTube 3 years ago, I'd be in a way better position than I am right now. I might not even be in college right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So doing what was right, I wasn't doing what was right. I was doing what I wanted to do. I should have been doing what's right.
For your business.
For the business. And everybody told me that from the beginning, but I was just like, nope. I'm right. Nobody else is right. I know what I'm doing. And I didn't. And lo and behold, once I started listening to the people, it started working. And I would say, yeah, and that's for anybody, and that's applicable to anybody out there. Don't let your ego get in the way of your success. And that's something I think about every single day.
Awesome. I love it. That's a good word. I've really enjoyed having you coming in. I know you're graduating. I know we have a lot going on, but this was super fun. One of my favorite episodes ever. It was super cool talking with you and great. It's so fun. I'll keep watching and I'm really interested in seeing the pivot to the lifestyle stuff, and that's super cool. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am super looking forward to all the progress with the podcast here and your own social media endeavors.
Oh, I know. Check it out.
I'm proud to be a day one, and we can look back on this in a couple of years, and hopefully we're both at the top here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Innovation Mindset Podcast, powered by the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. Hey, be sure to check out Ashton's content. We'll have all his social media handles in the show notes. Also, do us a solid, and if you like this episode, why would you not like this episode? Hit like, it helps us. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another amazing episode. And you know what we really love? Comments. We love to hear from you guys. What do you like? What do you don't like? Whatever. We love to and we respond to every single one. We will see you next time.